The power of choosing your circle. Hey there. Welcome back to our corner of wisdom, where we share stories and advice to help you live your best life. Imagine this, you're sitting on your front porch sipping coffee, watching the neighborhood hum along. Kids biking, dogs barking, maybe a neighbor waving hello. It feels good, right? But then you hear that one neighbor's music blaring at midnight, or you get a call from a relative who only reaches out when they need something. Suddenly, that peaceful moment feels heavy. If you've ever felt weighed down by the people around you, stick with me, because today we're diving into something that can change your life, choosing who you let into your circle. Specifically, we're talking about three types of neighbors to avoid and three types of relatives to keep your distance from, to protect your peace and keep your days filled with joy. You see, as we get older, whether you're 60, 80, or even 100, you start to realize something powerful. Life's too short for relationships that drain you. The folks you surround yourself with, from the neighbor next door to the cousin you see at family reunions, shape your happiness, your health, and your peace of mind. I've learned this the hard way, and I bet you have too. Maybe it's that neighbor who gossips about everyone's business, or a relative who borrows money and never pays it back. These relationships can steal your energy, stress you out, and even affect your health. Because let's face it, stress isn't just a mood killer. It can raise your blood pressure and keep you up at night. But here's the good news, you have the power to choose who gets a front row seat in your life. Think about it like tending a garden. You wouldn't let weeds choke out your roses, would you? Relationships are the same. You've got to nurture the ones that bring color and life and pull out the ones that sap your strength. There's an old saying I love. You can't choose your family, but you can choose how close you let them get. And neighbors, they're like the weather, you can't control them, but you can decide how much you let them affect your day. By being selective about who you share your time and energy with, you're not just protecting your peace, you're building a life that feels lighter, healthier, and more meaningful. Now, I know what you're thinking. Easier said than done. And you're right, it's not always easy to set boundaries, especially when it's family or someone you see every day. Maybe you feel guilty saying no, or you worry about rocking the boat. But here's something I've learned over the years, saying no to toxic relationships isn't selfish, it's self-care. It's about valuing yourself enough to create space for joy, not drama. And when you do that, you're not just helping yourself. You're setting an example for others, maybe even your kids or grandkids, showing them how to live with intention. In this video, we're going to walk through three types of neighbors who might be dimming your light and three types of relatives you might need to keep at arm's length. I'll share stories from folks just like you, practical tips you can use today, and a little wisdom to help you see your own value. Because here's the truth, you deserve relationships that lift you up, not drag you down. So grab a cup of tea, get comfy, and let's dive into how you can create a circle that brings you peace and happiness. And don't forget, stick around until the end for a life lesson that'll tie it all together, and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss our next video. Ready, let's get started. Three types of neighbors to avoid. All right, friends, let's dive into the neighborhood, the place where you hang your hat, sip your morning coffee, and hope for a little peace and quiet. Your neighbors can be a blessing, like the ones who drop off homemade cookies or water your plants when you're away. But let's be real, not every neighbor brings that kind of warmth. Some can turn your quiet evenings into a headache or make you dread checking your mailbox. To keep your home a sanctuary, there are three types of neighbors you might want to keep at a polite distance. These folks can stress you out, and trust me, at this stage of life, you don't need extra stress messing with your heart or your sleep. Let's break them down one by one with stories and tips to help you protect your peace. The busybody. First up is the busybody, the neighbor who's always poking their nose where it doesn't belong. You know the type, they're out watering their lawn but really watching who's coming and going at your house. They'll ask about your grandkids' visit, your doctor's appointment, or even what's in that Amazon package, then share it with the whole cul-de-sac. I had a neighbor like this once, let's call her Karen. She'd stop by just to chat but end up fishing for details about my life. One day I mentioned in passing that I was thinking about selling my car. By the next week, half the neighborhood was asking me about it, and someone even said Karen claimed I was desperate for cash. Talk about twisting the truth. That kind of gossip doesn't just invade your privacy. It can stir up drama that leaves you feeling exposed or even betrayed. For folks like us, that stress can hit hard. Maybe it's a sleepless night or a spike in anxiety that you don't need. Here's the deal. You can't stop a busybody from talking, but you can control what you share. Keep conversations light and vague, stick to weather or sports, not personal stuff. If they push, smile and say, oh, nothing exciting going on here, and change the subject. Setting that boundary protects your privacy and keeps your mental health in check. Your home should be your safe space, not a stage for someone else's gossip show. So be friendly, but keep the busybody at arm's length to save your peace. The taker next. Let's talk about the taker. The neighbor who's always asking for favors but never gives back. They'll borrow your ladder, ask you to watch their dog, or expect you to mow their lawn just this once. But when you need a hand, they're suddenly too busy. I knew a guy, Tom, who lived next to a taker named Steve. Tom was a kind soul, always helping out. Steve would ask Tom to pick up his mail, fix his fence, even drive him to the store, claiming his car was in the shop. Tom obliged, thinking that's what neighbors do. But when Tom needed help moving a heavy planter after knee surgery, Steve was nowhere to be found, said he had a thing. Over time, Tom felt used, and that resentment started weighing on him. It wasn't just about the favors. It was the emotional toll of giving without getting anything back. Takers create a one-sided relationship that can leave you exhausted, especially when you're managing your own health or limited energy. The fix: set clear limits. It's okay to say, sorry, I can't help this time, and not feel guilty. Offer help only when it feels right for you, not because you feel obligated. If they keep asking, try this, I've got a lot on my plate, but let's figure out a way we can both pitch in next time. That sets the tone for mutual respect. By keeping takers at a distance, you're saving your energy for relationships that lift you up, not drag you down. The disruptor. Finally, there's the disruptor, the neighbor whose lifestyle makes your life chaotic. Maybe they're blasting music at 2 a.m., leaving trash in the shared alley, or hosting loud parties every weekend. Their chaos spills over, turning your quiet evenings into a battle for calm. My friend Betty had a neighbor like this, Mike, who turned his backyard into a late-night hangout spot. Loud laughter, clinking bottles, and revving motorcycles kept Betty awake, which was rough since she was managing arthritis and needed rest. She tried talking to Mike politely, but he brushed it off, saying, "It's just a little fun." That lack of respect didn't just disrupt Betty's sleep, it spiked her stress, which made her pain worse. You can't change a disruptor's habits, but you can protect your space. Start with a friendly chat. Say, hey, I've been having trouble sleeping with the late night noise. Can we find a way to keep things quieter? If that doesn't work, lean on community rules like HOA guidelines or local noise ordinances. Worst case, create your own peace, invest in noise-canceling headphones, or rearrange your schedule to avoid their chaos. Your health, especially your sleep and stress levels, is too important to let a disruptor ruin it. Choose a home environment that feels like a haven, not a headache. By recognizing these neighbors, the busybody, the taker, and the disruptor, you're taking a big step toward a calmer, happier life. It's not about being unkind, it's about valuing your well-being. You've earned the right to a peaceful home, and setting boundaries with these folks helps you keep it. 3 types of relatives to keep your distance from. All right. Let's shift from the neighborhood to the family table. Family, oh, they're special, aren't they? They're the ones who know your history, share your holiday dinners, and maybe even remember when you wore those bell-bottoms in the 70s. But let's be honest, not every family member brings warmth and support. Some can leave you feeling drained, frustrated, or even questioning your own worth. As we get older, we realize that family ties don't mean you have to let everyone close, especially when they're stressing you out or hurting your health. Today, we're diving into 3 types of relatives you might want to keep at a distance to protect your peace and keep your life joyful. These are the folks who can weigh heavy on your heart, and I've got stories and tips to help you set boundaries that feel right. The freeloader. First, there's the freeloader, the relative who treats you like their personal ATM. They're always asking for a loan, a handout, or just a little help with no plan to pay you back. I knew a woman named Helen, a retired teacher living on a fixed pension. Her nephew Jake would call every few months with a sob story, car, trouble rent, due, you name it. Helen, big-hearted as she was, kept writing checks thinking family helps family. But Jake never repaid a dime, and worse, he'd guilt trip her if she hesitated, saying, "You're the only one I can count on, Aunt Helen." Over time, Helen's savings dwindled, and the stress of those calls started messing with her blood pressure. She felt trapped, torn between love for her nephew and the sinking feeling she was being used. Here's the truth: helping family is beautiful, but it shouldn't bankrupt you financially or emotionally. If you've got a freeloader in your life, set clear boundaries. Next time they ask for money, try saying, I can't lend right now, but I can help you look for resources or make a plan. That shifts the focus to empowerment, not enabling. If they push back, stay firm but kind. It's not about cutting them off. It's about protecting your own stability. Your health and peace matter, and saying no can be a way to love both yourself and them better. The user next up is the user, the relative who only shows up when they need something from you. They're not always after money. Sometimes it's your time, your energy, or your connections. They'll call when they need a ride, a favor, or someone to listen to their drama, but when you're struggling, crickets. My friend George had a cousin Lisa who was a classic user. She'd ask George to fix her computer, watch her kids, or even help her move, always with a big smile and a "you're the best." But when George was laid up after surgery needing someone to grab his groceries, Lisa was too swamped. George felt like a doormat, and that resentment started eating at him, making his recovery harder. Stress like that can hit us hard, especially when we're managing health issues or just trying to enjoy our days. Dealing with a user means recognizing your worth. You're not a vending machine for favors. Start by setting limits. Say, I can help this time, but I've got to balance my own needs too. If they keep pushing, scale back contact. You don't have to ghost them. Just don't be their go-to fixer. Focus on relationships that feel two-way, where you're valued for you, not just what you can do. That shift can lift a weight off your shoulders, leaving you with more energy for the people who truly care. The leech. Finally, there's the leech, the relative who clings to you for everything, refusing to stand on their own. They lean on you for money decisions, even emotional support, without ever trying to grow. I remember my neighbor Martha, who had a grown son, Eddie, living in her basement. Eddie was in his 40s, jobless, and expected Martha to cover his bills, cook his meals, and solve his problems. Martha loved him, but the constant demands left her exhausted, and her diabetes flared up from the stress. She felt guilty saying no, but she was carrying a load that wasn't hers to bear. That kind of burden can wear you down, making it hard to enjoy your own life. The key with a leech is to encourage independence without enabling dependence. Try saying, I know you can figure this out. Let's brainstorm some steps you can take. Offer guidance, not a free ride. If they resist, set firm boundaries like limiting financial help or time spent solving their issues. It's tough, especially with family, but helping them grow is true love. You're not just protecting your health, you're giving them a chance to find their own strength. By keeping freeloaders, users, and leeches at a distance, you're choosing a life where your energy goes to joy, not drama. Family matters, but so do you. Setting boundaries lets you love from a place of strength, not obligation. The philosophy of choosing your circle and a life lesson. So here we are, friends at the heart of it all, choosing who gets to share your life's precious moments. We've talked about those neighbors who can turn your peaceful porch time into a headache, and the relatives who leave you feeling more drained than loved. But now let's zoom out and talk about why this matters so much, especially as we get older. Your time, your energy, your health, they're like gold, and you get to decide who's worthy of them. This isn't about shutting people out. It's about opening your heart to the right ones. Let me share a story that hit me hard, along with some wisdom to help you live lighter and happier, plus a life lesson you can carry with you. Picture this: my friend Ruth, a spry 78-year-old, was the kind of person who lit up a room. She'd spent years hosting family barbecues, helping neighbors with yard work, and being everyone's go-to for advice. But Ruth had a problem: she couldn't say no. Her sister would borrow money she never repaid, her neighbor would dump complaints on her daily, and she was always fixing someone's mess. One day, Ruth ended up in the hospital with chest pains, stress-induced, the doctor said. It was a wake-up call. Ruth realized she'd been giving so much to the wrong people that she was neglecting herself. Her heart, both physically and emotionally, was paying the price. That's when she decided to change things. She started setting boundaries, politely declining her sister's loan requests, limiting chats with her needy neighbor, and focusing on friends who made her laugh and feel valued. Within months, Ruth's energy was back. Her smile was brighter, and those chest pains gone. She told me, I learned my peace is worth protecting, and I'm not selfish for choosing who gets my time. Ruth's story taught me something big: your circle shapes your life. The people around you can either lift you up or pull you down, and that affects everything: your mood, your stress, even your health. There's a saying I love: you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So choose folks who inspire you, who respect your boundaries, who make you feel like the amazing person you are. This isn't about being cold, it's about being wise. If a neighbor's gossip or a relative's demands are stressing you out, it's okay to step back. Maybe you don't answer every call or you say, I can't help right now, but I'm rooting for you. That's not cutting them off, it's choosing your well-being. Here's how you can start today. Take a moment to think about your circle. Who makes you feel light and valued? Who leaves you exhausted or anxious? Make a mental list and then act, spend more time with the good ones, and gently distance yourself from the rest. It could be as simple as saying, let's catch up another time, or skipping that family drama fest. Your health, your heart, your sleep, your joy depends on it. And don't feel guilty. You've earned the right to a life that feels good, surrounded by people who see your worth. Life lesson. Your peace is your power. Choose your circle like you'd choose a treasured keepsake. Pick the ones who add joy, not stress, and let go of those who dim your light. By valuing yourself, you create a life that's healthier, happier, and full of love. Thanks for joining me on this journey, friends. I hope these stories and tips help you build a circle that lifts you up. If this resonated with you, hit that like button. It means the world, and subscribe so we can keep sharing wisdom to make your days brighter. Drop a comment below about a boundary you've set or a person who makes your life better. I'd love to hear your story. Until next time, keep choosing your peace. You've got this.